Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to a bonus episode of We Watch Shudder. My name is Michelle, and who's here with me?
The dogs, apparently. Are they barking at your place tonight, Michelle?
Apparently, the second we started recording, Ellie decided to be a maniac. But who was that second voice?
Oh, it's JD. It's always JD,
It's
guys.
always JD, and no matter what, we always have a dog barking at least one of our homes because we have
There's
little
always
dogs.
dogs involved. We're
There's
here.
always-
We're talking about movies. We got
We are.
Riley the Wonder Dog, freshly from the groomers, sitting right here like he always does, being a total attention whore.
Yep, and as you
just
heard, we
like-
have Elephant at my house being
Oh, she's
loud
adorable.
as possible. Elephant.
Is she's
a
just
tiny,
excited
tiny dog.
that she's just excited that you just got home. I think probably right.
Somewhat. Ellie was very excited that John came home, and both of our boy cats were very excited that Ellie came home. It seems that nobody is excited that I am back.
Not even John can be excited that you're back because he was with you the whole time you were gone.
I know, he was stuck with me for a whole week. Poor
He's-
man.
Oh, what a poor. Oh,
Yeah.
that unfortunate.
I got to take this moment to just say it was a very emotional weekend because I was in Phoenix for a week. Saturday to Saturday. It was a great, beautiful time hanging out with my Uncle Jeff, who got me into horror. So we have a lot in common. He sent me home with some swag. We watched some movies. He will never forgive me for making him watch The Outwaters, which I said was a perfect movie. And he said was the first time that he questioned my taste in movies. So
Who,
that
Jeff?
happened. Yeah, Jeff will never, ever forgive me.
Well.
He said, wow, that was garbage. And I was like, that was a 5-skull movie.
It's a very polarizing film. Which I mean, frankly, I would rather a movie be very polarizing and be on the not the negative side than for a movie to just be wishy-washy. So good on them.
Agreed.
Good on Jeff too. Anyway, guys. This is how committed to our craft we are. Michelle literally just got home from a week-long vacation, just got off an airplane and arrived home today, like just a few hours ago.
4
She's
hours
already
ago.
sat down,
Mhm.
watched a movie, and we're recording an episode.
Yeah. What are we
That's
recording
pretty
this
dope.
episode about, JD?
Well, I tell you what, Michelle. This is just an idea. I had to throw this out there because I was doom scrolling through Twitter on Friday night, like you do, and I saw that Last Drive-In was going, and one of the movies they were showing on the Last Drive-In, which of course is a Shudder program, was a movie called Tigers Are Not Afraid. Which is an archive Shudder exclusive title. As a Mexican film that was originally released in 2017. I think it landed on Shudder in 2019 as an exclusive product. And I've seen this movie kicking around on Shudder, obviously, for a while now, but it's an exclusive from the archives that I had never gotten around to seeing. And people were like a lot. They weren't just like positive reactions. They were reactions in the sense of like, man, that's one that I always meant to see and just never got around to seeing it. And I'm so glad that you guys put it on the show because I might have never seen it. And as it turns out, it was really fucking rad. And also, people were talking about how it's a very it's a very moody film, a very sort of sad, and I don't want to say bleak film. I think it is kind of hopeful ultimately. Anyway, the way people were talking about it in the Mutant family, the Last Drive-In fans there on Twitter, really made it seem like one that that I should check out kind of right away. And we wanted to, so that's what we're doing. We decided to do a quick bonus drop and try to catch a little bit of the wave of that conversation that Joe, Bob, and Darcy, the mail girl, started up on the Last Drive-In. Now, Michelle, if I'm correct here, you had, in fact, already seen this film once before. Is that correct?
It was either once or twice. I
Okay.
know for a fact that I have definitely seen it because it showed up on a list when I was doing my standard Google search of emotionally devastating movies. And if there's
Yeah.
something on that list, I'm going to want to watch it. I love
Of
feeling
course.
feelings because I am dead inside. So feeling emotions feels nice sometimes. Except
Even
for
if you
when it's.
make me
Oh,
so sad.
I was going to say, except for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which we're not going to spoil, but I will say that as the last Guardians movie, could not handle it. So between that and this movie, I'm not in a good headspace today.
Well, we'll try to get you through it. So that's what we're doing. We're talking about Tigers Are Not Afraid today. We looked at the descriptions, as is often the case. The one on the actual Shudder website is kind of wordy and a little spoilery. So we decided we're going to go with the IMDb description again for this episode. What does it say there, Michelle? Tell us what we need to know about the movie.
So, straight from the dear God, neither of us can do acronyms today.
Nope.
Oh, trying again. Okay, straight from the IMDb website. A dark fairy tale about a gang of 5 children trying to survive the horrific violence of the cartels and the ghosts created every day by the drug war. Tigers Are Not Afraid. Original title, Wolven.
That's it just ends there?
Yep. It is a
Did I-
fragmented sentence, and you know what? It's a bilingual movie, so it's in Spanish. I'm not going to fault them for not knowing that that's a fragmented
It's okay.
sentence.
It's okay. So
Yep.
that's the movie, guys. Very simple description there, very straight and to the point. Michelle, as somebody who had seen this movie at least once before and then coming back to check it out again, why don't you give us some of your spoiler-free thoughts here?
Absolutely. So this movie is constantly compared to Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth, and the parallels between this and that are very, very justified. So if you like Pan's Labyrinth and you haven't seen this movie, Tigers Are Not Afraid, you definitely should check it out. I also saw hints of Slumdog Millionaire, at least the beginning part of that. There's a lot of deliberate correlations to Peter Pan. This just draws on a lot of popular work already, all of which is also very solid. So I mean, this movie is a 5 for me. I enjoyed it. I was glad that we got to cover it again. I was glad that you had not seen it and that we were going to be able to talk about it because I knew that I already really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this everything I started looking at after seeing the movie, Guillermo del Toro and his earlier works get mentioned almost immediately, and once you see the film, you can understand why. This one, I actually personally... Have you ever seen his film The Devil's Backbone from 2001?
Yes. I don't remember
Okay, yeah.
very much, but I went through Guillermo's entire catalog at some point and watched all of them.
This one was a little bit more reminiscent of that film to me, but I definitely see the Pan's Labyrinth connections as well, being sort of centered around children characters and the fantastical elements that bleed into reality here.
Yeah, I think
I can...
the lead characters are very similar, so that's why to me it's very Pan's.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I agree entirely on just that basic connection there. It just to all of his earlier things. But this kind of came out of left field for me. It also, in its tone, reminded me at least a little bit of a movie we talked about right around the end of the year called All the Moons.
Same. I was hoping you'd think of All the Moons comparison.
Yeah, it's and not just because this is a Mexican film. All the Moons was a Basque film, but there's definitely a very morose and somber element. This movie, I don't want to say it's, like I said, I don't think it's a bleak film. I think it does ultimately present a hopeful message, but it's definitely very grim. As I said to you at one point, knowing you had already seen the film. I gotta be honest, Mutant Family Twitter knows what they're talking about. I agree with you. This is a 5 skull movie.
Yes,
This
the
is
rare double 5.
this is this is the kind of stuff that I've been really getting into lately. Just some real heavy emotional things, some real ties to actual life experience, while still doing some interesting things with sort of what we would call horror adjacent elements. I think this is a fantastic film. I'm so glad that I saw all those tweets and decided I needed to see this movie as soon as possible. Side note, by the way, I just realized we completely forgot to tell people that, hi, we watch Shudder. We got right into it because we're not used to doing this on a Sunday afternoon, evening, whatever it is.
It's an off day.
If this is your first time tuning in, hi. I'm JD, that's Michelle.
Shudder. Yeah,
we
hi,
watch
it's
Shudder
us.
and then we talk about it.
Oh, man.
Oh. So that's a perfect 5 skull movie here on Tigers Are Not Afraid, and we're definitely going to dig into it deeper here. But as we always do, we'll give those people who want to go see the movie before we spoil it a very clear point here to hit that pause button. And honestly, this movie definitely qualifies as, I think, more in the horror adjacent category. It has some elements that lean towards horror, but at no point do I think it becomes sort of like, it's not intensely scary or grotesque in any way. This is one that I think even those among you with maybe a little bit more squeamish or whatnot, definitely check this out. This is a fantastic movie. Go see it before we tear it apart. Okay, now we're gonna tear it apart.
Yeah.
I
hope you went to watch it.
I really hope you went to watch it. Michelle,
Mm-hmm.
do us all that thing you do where you tell us all about the plot of this movie for those fools who didn't go watch it.
Absolutely. So Estrella is a little girl living in Mexico where the cartel runs rampant, and school is canceled indefinitely after there's I guess like a drug war or some sort of shooting happening there. And her teacher gives her 3 pieces of chalk and tells her that these 3 pieces of chalk will grant her a wish. Before the shooting happened, they had been writing fairy tales for class. So Estrella, that's the director. Sorry, Estrella had been writing her own fairy tale, and then this movie kind of brings those fantastical elements into the rest of it. Estrella goes home, and her mother is missing, and her mother does not return, and it's pretty much assumed that her mother was taken by the local gang, and she is hungry, and a little boy named Shiny breaks into her house, and she follows Shiny back to his band of lost children, and she tries to be part of their group, and they are very reluctant to welcome her in. Shiny says that Estrella can stay if she goes and she kills the man who...
Caco!
Yeah, Caco.
Caco, like Paco, but with a C.
Gotcha. Caco. Okay. So if she kills Caco, then she can stay. So she had used one of those pieces of chalk in order to wish that her mother would come back, and now her mother is a ghost, telling her to bring the men who wronged her, I guess, back to the mom.
Bring him to us.
Bring him to me, which is where I think the original title of Welvin comes in, because that does mean come back. And it's interesting that they changed it so much when they went with the English title. But
yeah.
It's strange to me. That was one thing I noted. But anyway, so she had used her first wish in order to do that. Her second wish is when she's standing there with a gun to the head of Caco, then she wishes that she didn't have to kill him, and he is already dead. And then she finds one of the little boys who had been taken by Caco, and that's why Shiny wanted him dead. And she finds a couple other little boys, and everybody goes free. And then there's a lot of stuff that happens in the in-between, but basically Shiny had taken a gun from Caco, and it turns out that Caco had filmed the lead guy whose name is escaping me right this second.
Chino.
Chino, yes. Had filmed Chino killing somebody. And then it turns out that Chino had been killing Estrella's mother. And, oh, God, there's so much going on that I'm trying to sum
Also,
up.
Chino is
A politician.
is the alter ego of a very famous local politician
Yep.
who also turns out to be this is a dense movie.
I know.
You're not
That's why
wrong
I'm like,
there.
oh, God, I don't want to spend 10 minutes summing it up. But
For sure.
near the end, her ghost mother has been telling her to bring the man back to her. And there's a little boy who gets killed. And then there's another little boy that gets killed. And a lot happens. But in the end, Estrella winds up luring Chino into a room where her dead mother and several other bodies are, and Shiny's ghost also goes in there and lights the place on fire. And then Estrella sees a tiger, and then she walks off into a meadow, which I thought was a metaphor for none of this actually happened, and the fantasy is that she died. But apparently, no, it's just a symbolism of her freedom. I had to go look that up to make sure, because it was either going to be a very bleak or a very hopeful ending. I needed to make sure that I interpreted it correctly, because my brain always goes with the bleak one. But no, it was a symbolism of freedom, so thank God for that. There was something enlightening and happy in this goddamn movie.
And I that's interesting, because that's definitely the impression I got at the end there. I did for a split second wonder if that was supposed to be some sort of like death metaphor, but I just I honestly just said to myself, I don't feel like that's what this movie would have been trying to say, and so I just kind of saw it as this hopeful kind of symbolic escape from this tyrannical nightmare world that she had been living in. I thought this movie, first of all, as you said, there's a lot going on here in these 83 minutes. Also, shout out, it's only 83 minutes, and there is a lot that happens here. First of all, it is this movie is heavy at times. As Michelle mentioned, there are at least 2 children. And when I say children, I mean like I don't think the oldest of them is maybe 11 or 12 years old. I know the lead female Estrella is supposed to be 10 years old in this film, and so we're talking about like the little boy Moro. Let's just jump right into this. Some of this to me was the hardest of the 2, and they're both real hard. But they're trying to save each other from this awful adult human trafficking drug cartel member, and one of they have a gun that they had gotten a hold of, and this little boy who's the youngest of all of them, the kid can't be more than like 7 years old. He's the one that had gotten kidnapped earlier that they saved. He gets this gun and he shoots one of these gangsters to protect his friend, and this other gangster, in just a moment of like pure, cold, stark, like for me, the kind of shit that just rattles your bones, just turns and puts a bullet in this kid like it's nothing. Like it's one of the most immediate, just cold, blunt child murders I've ever seen in a film, and I think that's really saying something. I would have seen it as so much more exploitational if this wasn't so well done as a presentation of what I have to assume is a very real element of the culture that this film comes out of. I thought it was the same way Guillermo del Toro has done a lot for that Franco regime era of Spanish history and Mexican history. This, I think, does a very similar thing for modern urban Mexican like children and life and what they're dealing with. And man, that like when little Moro got blasted, man, I had to stop this movie for a minute. What about you?
I am desensitized to things, so I was upset but did not need to pause and take a moment. What hit me a little bit more was the second fucking grim child death right at the moment where things are starting to feel a little bit hopeful and you're starting to wonder, is magic real? And they're having this nice touching moment, and then he gets fucking shot and he's killed immediately. The fact that there were two very, very, I don't know what you'd call it, but like that was a child death. It was not like a child dying off screen. It was right in your face. Oh man, you think you recovered from the really sad, like the tiniest of this group is the one who took it first, and you're so sad and grieving, and you felt like you knew this child just from the short time that we spent together, and then it happens again. It's upsetting. I had read this quote after watching this the first time, so now that we were covering it, I did have to go find a couple of the articles I had previously read so I could get you a couple quotes from the director, Isa Lopez. This is the one that I had to go find. It was from her Vulture interview, and she had said that she likes a movie that starts bleak, gets bleaker, and then ends in hell. And she nailed it. And I also feel like we have similar movie interests, Issa, because I like that too. And your movie falls into that category. And reading that quote is one of the reasons I had to go look up, like, ends in hell. Oh, God, did the little girl not survive?
Right.
Because knowing that, I was like, oh, dear God, I have to go look. Was there hope at the end of this? But this it keeps coming. And like you said, it's based in this reality of, this isn't trying to tell you a horror story for the sake of being scary. It's telling you a horror story for the sake of awareness of a real issue. And that is always way more terrifying and horrific than something, just fantastical. This is based in reality, and it's really upsetting for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, for sure. I think what is also real heavy about the second death when Shina gets shot. It's tied in with her making her third wish, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for her first wish, she wishes for her mother to come back, and her mom comes back, but not at all the way she intended. Immediately hitting us with this "be very careful what you wish for" theme, and then. She wishes that she, again, doesn't wish that Kako doesn't have to die. She very specifically wishes, I wish that I didn't have to kill him. And then it just ends up he still died. And so she says to, when they're talking about the wishes, she says, I don't know what to wish for. Or I don't know if I should even use it, because every time I've used one of the other ones, it's like I've gotten what I wish for, but it's been a very, very, like something very bad has happened, right? And the Shiny wants to, he's got a burn on his face, and he would like to have that burn removed, and that's why she says, I don't. I don't know if I should wish for that because I don't know what would happen. And then in a moment of very, you know what she's really saying is, yeah, but I may need to use that wish for something for myself. And then in this beautiful moment where you're caught up in them being children in a hellscape that you could never imagine, just a hellish day-to-day life, in a moment of pure selflessness, to make that, because there's always been conflict between the two of them. They've never quite gelled. In that moment of just pure selflessness, she even herself forgets what's happening here, and wishes not for something for herself, but wishes to take his burn away. And they take his burn away by shooting him in the fucking face. What the fuck, man? Like, what a punch in the balls for this girl. It's just like, oh shit, no, that's not, like, and these wishes were given to her by her teacher in the scene up front. Like, that is a bleak theme there. It's like, oh, these people have instilled you with hope and the ability to dream, but maybe that was the worst fucking mistake of all. Like, there is heavy shit going on here.
There was another thing that I had read, because like I said, because I'd seen this before, I was able to go brush up on a couple things. And one thing that, I'm not from Mexico, I am from the upper Midwest, so very, very different culture that I grew up in. But tigers down in Mexico represent a lot of things that they don't hear. For us, tigers are, beautiful cats that we sometimes see in the zoo. Down there, they represent a lot of strength and resilience. So the tiger becomes such this huge symbol throughout. That's why tigers are not afraid. That's why Shiny makes his little graffiti of tigers. That's why Estrella is writing her story about tigers. And the movie ends with, "We are princes, we are warriors, and tigers are not afraid," which gave me goosebumps. And also, fuck a horror movie that makes me cry. Come on. Don't you dare. No, but oh man, like I said, it was an emotional weekend. I'm feeling very very raw today. But that is all symbolism that was a little bit lost on me until I got to read it last time. And so watching this with that in mind a little bit more, the second watch, or potentially third, I don't remember. I think probably second. But oh man, it hits you harder that this was such a revenge story in a way, and she winds up getting that at the end. That everything is so awful, but at least that gang was taken out by Chino, just like he said it would be, and all her friends are dead, and her mom's not coming back.
Yeah, that's another thing where I wanted to bring up here that I mentioned to you before. We don't typically talk much about the movie before we come in and discuss it on the show, but there were just some moments that I couldn't hold back. There's that whole sequence where Chino is trying to get this phone from them for the whole movie, and finally they contact him. They're like, "Look, just meet us. We'll give you the phone." They get this whole deal set up, and everything in your soul from every time you've ever seen anything like this in any movie ever is these kids are going to show up and they're all going to die. It's going to be a setup, and Chino's going to kill them all. He's a liar and a devil. And they get there, and they give him the phone, and he shoots his own dudes and just tells the kids to leave. Which is just out of the blue. What are you fucking... And what hit me then from that is... Are they trying to tell us that all of this shit they've gone through in the first 2/3 of this movie could have been avoided if they had just given the phone back immediately? Like, this is a guy who's not going to kill these kids. He just legitimately wants that phone. Jesus Christ, that's dark. That is some grim shit. I was really taken aback by that whole moment. And then, of course, it turns out that Shiny double-crossed him, and he figures it out, and then it comes back, and it's even worse, and whatever. But that moment was just wild to me. Never in a million years did I expect all those kids were going to walk away from that meetup.
It wasn't even a good phone. It wasn't like the latest iPhone model that he wanted. He wanted like this shitty phone. Just go buy a new one.
Hey, it's that content, Michelle. It's not
I'm
about the phone
aware.
itself. It's about that
I'm
content.
trying to alleviate the grimness and the sadness that is in my heart from this
Yeah.
movie.
Let's not forget though that this was it is definitely a horror adjacent film. You know, it centers around spirits and ghosts coming back from the dead. And is ultimately a revenge story, and I like how they take that typical, unquiet spirit, if you will, revenge story, and tie it in with this idea of these are all victims of this cartel that is just destroying these small towns and these people in Mexico. And I really enjoyed those elements. I thought there's that one shot where she puts the empty cup noodle cup up to her ear to listen to it, and that fucking hand comes out of it and like tickles her face. I thought that was great. That sequence, I don't know what it is about the creepy hands in this, but when she's sitting on that floor grate, and then all of them zombie dead people hands come reaching up out of the floor at her and grabbing it shit. I thought that was really well done. When it does go for those moments, I thought it was pretty effective. Didn't you?
Yes.
Well, stunning input, Michelle. Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't have a lot more to add. You're much better at putting things into words, and I'm better at going, "What the fuck?" over and over again.
Yeah,
Man.
I just really enjoyed the way this movie layered its themes on top of each other. The way it's very much about grim things without being completely nihilistic. I love the little moments of humor in here. Like one of my favorite scenes was after poor Moro gets killed. Estrella is sitting on the swing set, and his ghost with the little tiger who's now alive. It just shows up there in the swing set as well. And they have that exchange where he says, they're burying me. And she doesn't say anything. And then he says, I feel cold. And she says, where? And he says, all over. And she says, no, I mean, where are they burying you? And he's like, oh. Like just this very silly, just absurd exchange in the middle of this very kind of sad and dark moment. There are a couple of moments of things like that where they remind you that these are still kids. And even still, through all of this bleakness and grimness and darkness and nightmare, they're still finding things to laugh at, and they're still trying to have fun with the existence that they have when they can afford to have it. And I thought that was great. I love. Apparently, none of these kids had any acting experience at all going into this movie. I don't fucking believe it. Because these are some of the best child performers I've ever seen. This whole cast was fabulous.
That's impossible because Paola Lara, who played the main character, has 2 things listed before this movie on her IMDb. So
okay, so maybe not the whole cast, but I think like most of the.
I was gonna say Moro was probably like just born, and then was like, "I'm here now. Let's make a movie," because he was very young.
Yeah, this was so well done. I loved every bit of this. I look forward to seeing it again. What else? There was other things. I love the graffiti element that's tied into this. There's those. They're constantly showing you graffiti art of these kids doing like making representations of themselves, but also like it lends this almost slightly animated character to this because there are layers of this graffiti and this style of graffiti all over this film, and you slowly start to realize that, like, this isn't just one artist, right? Like, this is a local style that has been adopted by a lot of people, and then you start to wonder if maybe it's not in some ways used as a way for these kids to maybe communicate with each other on certain basic levels, or even just from a cinematic standpoint, just this constant element in the background of even in the trenches of this cartel-ravaged city, these kids are all still trying to make their mark somewhere. I thought that was super cool as well.
I like the part where they had the graffiti of the dog pooping. We have different interests. This movie wrecked me, and I need some levity to my situation.
Yeah, it's real heavy, but again, I agree. I think it does ultimately present a hopeful ideal, and it's really intense. And I think if you haven't seen it and you just listen to us ruin all that good stuff, well, shame on you, but you should still go see it. I am so glad that this found its way onto the last drive-in, and that so many people in the Twitter Mutant family were hyped on it and talking about it. Because I've been aware of this movie. The name stands out, right? That's a name you see and makes you go, what could that be about? And so it's always been in the background as something that I've been like, I'll come back and check that out again sometime. And I finally found an excuse to check it out, and this movie was so good. I had a great time watching this film.
I wouldn't say I had a great time. I had a sad time with a quality film.
Fair. I don't have the appropriate vocabulary to explain how, like you enjoyed it, but you didn't enjoy it. We need a word for that, Michelle. There's probably a German word for it that I can't think of, but there's...
you could just call it every movie on Michelle's favorite movie list, where
Exactly.
You don't enjoy it, but you will watch it many times and give it a high score.
Right. It's psychological masochism.
Yeah, but it's also beautiful at the same time. How do they do that?
For sure. So, Michelle, this was a special
Yeah.
bonus episode that we just decided to record out of the blue. If we got some people here still listening, what is our next On Purpose episode going to be?
I don't know how to pronounce it for sure yet, but it will be Husera, the Bone Woman. That comes out on Shudder May 12th, and we will watch the movie on May 12th and then drop our episode at 12:31 May 13th.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that one. That one's actually one that had already been on my list that I wanted to check out. As well as the one that comes out on the 19th, Consecration. So actually, Influencer was technically also on my list. So I'm excited for everything that May has to offer. That doesn't mean they're going to be good. I hope they will be good, but you never know. Horror can be both very hot and cold.
Hey.
But dear God, I had all three on my list, and I really hope that they wind up being fun.
As I am want to say, we'll all find out together. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
New movie drops every week for the rest of the week or the rest of the month here. We watch Shudder. You can get the full schedule on our website, wewatchshudder.com. It's actually up there now, I promise. It's there. You can check us out on the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of those at WeWatchShudder is where you'll find us. You can drop us an email, mail@wewatchshudder.com. You can give me a phone call, 701-4... Well, that's probably not a good idea to give out your phone number on the podcast. We got Time Bomb Pro Wrestling coming up on Thursday night once again. Are you excited, Michelle?
I didn't realize that was this Thursday until I looked at my calendar today to prepare for my work week. And oh my God, where is my life gone, JD? Where is it gone? We're in May 2023. Wild. But I do have to say that I am glad that Time Bomb Pro Wrestling comes out on Thursday, because Friday You will be so lucky if I am able to stop what I'm doing and even record with you. And you and the rest of the We Watch Shudder fan base can feel very honored, because that is the day that Tears of the Kingdom comes out. And I will be MIA. No one will hear from me for months. I found all of the Korok seeds in Breath of the Wild. That will be my life.
I might be recording solo for a while, is what you're saying here, huh?
I will prop up a pillow with a smiley face, and I will put that on the webcam so that you at least have somebody with you. But I will be in my basement in the dark, just engulfed in The Legend of Zelda.
Hey, side note, by the way, I mentioned our website, WeWatchShudder.com, just a moment ago. We have a lot of different sections up there. We've got the Squelch files, where Michelle has gone through and harvested literally hundreds of images of squelching subtitles from various movies. Squelching, the greatest subtitle of all time. Also on there, we have our Ghoul blog. Shout out to the Shudder Ghoul log. It's a whole thing, multi-level referential stuff. Some of you get it, some of you don't. It's fine. Anyway, on the Ghoul blog, just released today, I went on a little sort of stream of consciousness nostalgia trip using my experience with the Evil Dead franchise films as kind of guideposts to just tell a little bit of a story and look back on some things that have happened in my 43 years, and also talk a little bit about the brand new movie Evil Dead Rise. You can check that out on the Ghoul blog right now. Michelle, when's your next Ghoul blog coming out?
Whenever you watch Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, because I'm
okay,
still
fair
waiting.
enough. I'll get to it as soon as I can.
I have a lot to say.
I still
was
need
live
to see Beau is Afraid.
Don't even get me started about all the movies that are currently out. On the plane, I got to watch John Wick 2, and part of John Wick 3. So I'm basically caught up on the John Wick family, and now John Wick Chapter 4 is on my list to go see. I have to go see Beau is Afraid, which I have heard is incredible, but it's 3 goddamn hours.
Yeah, and it's not playing here anymore. It's already gone.
I know, but I'll find it. You know I'm really good at tracking things down. I got the hookups.
All right. Well, we're at 42 minutes on this special bonus episode, and we've hit all the important points, and this damn dog's starting to get rambunctious. So what do you say we wrap it up? Say goodnight, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.